Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's Randy Wolfe here, and I released a video yesterday. I'm actually here in San Diego, California, at my real estate investor mastermind. We meet all over the country a few times a year, and I thought it'd be good to do a video today to kind of share what we had talked about in general, and kind of tie it into some things on this channel that may be helpful. So, basically, yesterday it was a variety of things that we talked about. We had some speakers, and then we broke out into our sort of our hot seat times where we would talk about things that we're doing that are going well, things that we're struggling with, those sort of things. And some of the things that came up was one of the things was raising private money. And so raising private money, if you were someone who is a fix and flipper, let's say, or even buying rentals and renovating them, that sort of thing, capital is something that comes up. It doesn't really even matter what level you are. You could be just getting started out, or you could be very advanced. And capital is definitely going to be something that comes into play with your real estate investment business. So we were talking about ways to do that. We were talking about actually how, and this is something that many people aren't aware of. This goes for people who would be investing, but is that they can utilize their IRA. They can self-direct that. And so we were talking about yesterday how that self-directed IRAs are a great way that people can free up capital to invest in real estate. And obviously we work with private money lenders that basically give us money, and then we pay them a set rate of return. And it's great doing that with someone that uses their IRA, because the gains that they get are tax deferred, or if it's a Roth, they're actually tax free after, because it's already been paid going into the account. So that was one of the things that we talked about. Another thing we talked about was scaling your business. And I think a common thing that happens as people are, it doesn't really matter what business you're in, but again, real estate investing, for example, in this case, finding good quality people to bring onto your team, I think is probably one of the biggest challenges of any business owner out there. And when it comes to real estate investing, there's a few key roles in most real estate investing businesses. You have like a leads manager, you've got an acquisitions person or several, you've got dispositions, and then of course you have, depending on what you're doing, potentially real estate agents. You got attorneys, inspectors, contractors, all of those things. And so finding the right people is so important. But one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, I talk about on this channel a good bit, is the fact that, like, having really dialed in systems and processes and always optimizing those can really be helpful when you're bringing a new person into your organization. So if you're just getting started investing in real estate, which is, the audience of this channel, you may not have a team yet, but as you start to build your team, it's really important to kind of understand and always be optimizing your systems and processes. And that goes into like your hiring. When you hire somebody, you really need to have like a game plan on what that looks like from start all the way to when they actually start with you. And then what does the first 30, 60, 90 days look like? And that's something we were talking about a good bit yesterday as well, because some of the people in the mastermind, are going through some challenges with hiring people and retaining people too. That's another thing. This is not only, finding good people, but then actually retaining good people. So that was something we talked about. Another thing we talked about was lead generation. So here in my mastermind, it's always great being able to talk to other people in other markets to see what they're doing. Some of our mastermind members operate nationally, some operate in a state, some operate in just specific markets, that sort of thing. And so we talked a lot about kind of what's working, what's not. And one of the things that I can say that I have found is a lot of times what works in one market might not necessarily work in another market. So it's not the answer everyone wants to hear, but someone could be crushing it with direct mail in one market, and then in another market it doesn't perform as well. Someone could be doing really well with TV in one market, and then in another market TV is not performing as well, or PPC or whatever. And so we talked about that a lot. And I think the common theme here, that what I'm saying is, if you're someone that is just now getting started investing in real estate, or you're wanting to invest in real estate, I talked about on the video that I just previously released, that getting educated is very important, but doing that while you are actively learning. So taking action, learn while you earn, or earn while you learn. You could say it that way. The other thing is this mastermind that I'm in, I'm continuing to build my skill set. I'm continuing to grow as a real estate investor, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And I think that one of the key things that I take away from every one of these mastermind events is there's a lot of great speakers. I'm actually speaking next month on stage, but there's a lot of great speakers. But the time with people in the hallway, in the lobby bar, at dinner, those are the times where you really can dig deep in not only building those relationships with people, but really digging deep into what's working. And there can be nuggets that can be shared. I've got a friend, I've got a friend here, lots of friends here, but one of my friends in the mastermind, we were talking about one little strategy that I'm going to take when I go back home to South Carolina, that I'm going to implement in order to make my TV commercials more effective, to get a better ROI. And it actually has nothing to do with the TV commercial itself. And so there's one little strategy that I'm going to do when I go back, and that is going to end up causing my TV commercial to generate more leads for me and my team. And so just little things like that. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't, I would encourage you to first of all subscribe to this channel, because everything that I'm putting out is absolutely free on this channel. It will continue to be free. It's YouTube, and I'm putting out content every single week. At some point, I may even get to a point where I'm putting it out 5 days a week, but right now I'm averaging about 3 days a week of new content every single week. And so be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and turn on the notification little bell so that you'll get notified. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I would strongly suggest that you check out my private community. So the private community that I have, it's online, and we are planning on having some actual events, face-to-face events. But as of right now, it's just an online community. But the things that I take away in my very, high level mastermind, I'm bringing back to the private community. We're also having the opportunity in the private community to share with each other. Again, we've got people from all over the country in the private community, what's working, what's not. And a lot of the same challenges that a brand new real estate investor faces, or someone aspiring to invest in real estate, are talked about in that community. And so not only do you have people like myself who have been there, done that, you have people who are actually going through it right now, and that you can share with each other, things, hey, this is working for me in this market or this market. And so I would encourage you to check that out. I'm going to put the link in the description below, and check that out. It's something that you can do and be a part of, and it is an investment. And like I said, if you are not able or willing to invest in yourself, continue to watch these videos for free. But one of the things that I love about my community, and I love about the masterminds, is it's learning the information and having it as one thing, but then executing and implementing that information, that's another thing. And that's where I feel like masterminds and communities really come into play. So um, other things that we were talking about, so I actually had a little bit deeper conversation um, with a few people yesterday, just kind of one-on-ones. One of the things that I had a great conversation with was someone about so like the financial side, some like CFO and different financial type of positions, and things that you could do in your company to really maximize your gains, minimize your taxes, that sort of thing. So that was a great, really high level conversation I had with someone yesterday. Um, there were a few other things that came out. I'll share one last thing before I wrap up. I had a great conversation with someone, and this is so obvious. So what I'm about to say, even a new person will say, well, that's obvious, Randy. But I talked to a person who is primarily flipping luxury houses. And you would think right now in our environment with interest rates that would be super risky. But one of the interesting things is, people buying luxury houses are not quite as affected by interest rates. And the luxury housing market is still very strong right now. And so what his strategy is, he actually will buy luxury properties. He will buy them. He will use the same typical kind of rules that we use. I won't say percentages or anything, but basically he's buying the property at a deep discount. and factoring in the estimated cost of repairs and all of those things. But then this person in my mastermind, he actually has a GC background, general contractor background. So he knows that he can actually do an addition to the property for in his particular market. Okay, it varies, every market varies, but in his particular market for about $200 to $250 a square foot is what he can do an addition for. So he will almost always do an addition to a property that he buys. And by doing that in his market, the actual price per square foot is typically around $500 or so per price per square foot. So when you stop and you think about that, that is an insane way to add value. And so now, and again, pretty obvious, add square feet, that's value. But what I thought was brilliant about it is he's really got his numbers dialed in, knowing that he can basically add, and in his market, whatever amount of square feet, if he spends $100,000 to add square footage to the property, that's going to be worth $200,000 in his market. So he's using different points. He's buying it right. He's fixing up the property right. He's doing the things, but then adding the square footage is just yet another way that he's forcing the value of that property up. And an interesting thing that he indicated was, if he's shooting on a flip to make $350,000, but yet he ends up falling short, and things don't go quite the way he hoped it would, and he misses, and he only makes $200,000 instead of $350,000. It's still very much worth his 6 to 7 months of time that it took him to do the flip, versus if you're only making $30,000, you spend 6 to 7 months and something goes wrong, and now you only make $5,000. It's like, was that really worth the 6 to 7 months? And so that's one thing I wanted to share before I wrap up. It's pretty obvious. I know that's not anything revolutionary to share when you think about, well, yeah, adding square feet, but it was just sort of the methodical way that he goes about and he approaches each property. And that is, he approaches the property with, I'm looking at properties with the idea that I do want to add square feet, but I'm still buying them as if I would not be doing that. So I wanted to share that with everybody today, but appreciate you watching. I'm getting ready to get ready to head downstairs in a little bit here. We're going to start another day off. But if you have any questions, be sure to comment below. And like I said, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day.